AI it's growing great and it's awesome, but it forgets about the people. And marketing's the same. We look at the data and there's so much data, like 40 to 50-year-olds, female and this, and we have 2.5 children and that's the data. Who are the people? What are the people like? So it's going back to those basics of marketing. Like we actually talk to people, we market to people. And how do we, and I'm going on about people and people, but we forget to have that human connection. And I think that's what I'm putting together at the moment for myself is who are the people I want to talk to and what is the connection I need with them. I mean, LinkedIn's been really interesting and that's kind of been a key space in B2B, so that's cool. But I think it's going to be that account-based, identifying companies and putting myself out there. I think that's going to be where it goes and just being more traditional about it.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Ways to Wealth. Today I'm joined by Kim. Kim, why don't you give us the TLDR on who you are and what you get up to on a day-to-day basis?
I will do. Thank you, Charlie. So I founded Full Stack Creative last year. Went from working as an employee to founding my own little kind of boutique agency, but it's been an interesting year. And yeah, I've got decades in marketing, background in kind of more technical side, analytics, so kind of done the whole full stack. So the reason why I went to Full Stack Creative was because I do full stack marketing. And so full stack development is an old development term. But full stack marketing is kind of what I do. I pull in the dots, connect the dots, and kind of see how it all fits together, that whole strategy of where everything connects up to and what's going to be the best thing to look at. So that's what I kind of do for my clients now, yeah.
Nice. Cool. So you were an employee. You obviously have a really long track record in marketing and then, like you said, before that in technical roles as CTO in a number of organisations. Yeah. I guess probably first and foremost, why the shift from development to marketing?
I started a long time ago. So I was probably one of those people who started in digital marketing when it was kind of new and fresh, and it was very separate from marketing because it was digital. And I started off with web design. Yeah. And using all the new, God, I don't know this thing called Dreamweaver. My goodness, it was a long time ago. Yeah. And that was, HTML, coding. And then it got really technical quite fast, and I realised that I wasn't the developer. I was more that kind of creative user experience, marketing aspect, so quickly shifted into, the 15-year-olds could code better than I ever would, so we'll leave that to them. And I realised that I was getting quite good at understanding how people look at technology, how people look at websites, how people and react to what you're putting out there digitally. At that time was pretty much digitally, but now marketing is kind of just merged into digital is just the norm now.
It's kind of a soup.
Yes. It is a soup.
And I guess
a bit of messy soup.
And every company is trying to work out what to throw in there, right? Yeah. And that's half the battle is actually choosing your battles. Yes.
And also understanding the impact of what your channels that you choose. There's the whole aspect of that marketing tech. You want to go do meta ads, or you want to go advertise on social, but you're not going to do well unless your back end and your marketing tech is giving you the conversion data, the signals, all of those bits and pieces properly. So, and that's a huge setup for a small company to do. Obviously, if you're using like a Shopify or a HubSpot or something like that, it's easier to do those connections because they're integrated. But even then, it's technically complicated. So how do you do that effectively if you need all of that back-end stuff? And it's just getting ever more complicated,
That's cool. And I guess, what was the catalyst, I guess, for you deciding to start a business?
I've been thinking about it for a long time. Right. I think I'm quite... I like to do things my way. Okay. But I think also I just got... I get bored quite quickly, and I like to unpack problems and I like to fix problems. So I'm a fixer. That's kind of what I like doing. So what I'm really good at is going into a company, looking at what's happening and going, these are the things that I'm identifying as, the the problems, the things that are holding you back, the roadblocks, things like that, and how we fix them and how we prioritize and put a good plan in place and how do we structure that. So every time I've gone into a new company, I'm super excited for the first year, super excited for maybe the second year, and then I'm thinking, right, what can we do next? And constantly, and it's great because I've now passed on all my knowledge to mentored the new people, the staff, and mentored the coordinators, and then we need momentum, and I'm looking at the next. How do we fix the next thing? So and I realised that I might as well use that effectively for myself and working for myself, and so now I find that I can work with clients, and really interestingly this last year I've gone from thinking I'm going to be this standard boutique agency, but I've kind of moved into the space where I can provide the services, but I've kind of developed into that fractional marketing leadership.
Right.
So moving into a small company or medium company who wouldn't necessarily want a full-time marketing lead, don't need it, but need that strategy and need that plan and need that structure of where to next, can support their team to implement the bits and pieces that need to get done, and so it's been an interesting journey. So that's been quite exciting. How I thought I'd be looking at that fractional stuff in a couple of years' time, getting the agency going, but it's been quite a quick development into.
Right, and do you know what led to that? Like, have you kind of identified why that pivot has taken place, and what kind of drove that?
I think it's because most small, medium businesses, so I'm not enterprise, I don't do enterprise, but most small, medium businesses don't have a clear plan of how to set up their marketing. So they've got this, they're doing it really great, they're doing this, but they're doing some creative, they know they need to do they get their website right, they know they need to have this, and small businesses are knowledgeable, they know more about marketing or digital marketing than I think they did 10 years ago or 5 years ago even, but it's all changing so fast. I think this last 2 years with AI, it's just become disruptive that everything is changing fast. And I think even the marketers are going, okay, how do we do that? Because that's changed. Meta changes their algorithms, they change their AI, how AI is going to do their ads, and then Google does that, and then Merchant Center changes, and there's all these back-end things that change. How do you keep up if you're not, even a marketer, even, if you know what you're trying to look for, you just can't keep up. And certainly if your focus is on doing your business, which it should be, how do you know what to do? And I think that's become a key element, is you can get someone to do a post for you, obviously within reason, creative being important, but to know what to focus on is the first step, and a little campaign isn't a strategy. So how do you start that strategy, go through all the planning, and get the actual implementation and execution done?
Yeah, cool. And what was it like winning your first client? How did you go about doing it?
I was really lucky. I got a referral.
Cool. So you got a referral pretty quickly.
Yeah. In actual fact, the company I was working for gave me a referral.
Oh, cool.
So that was my first, and then I still do a bit of work for the company I used to work for.
Oh, cool. So that got you a little bit. That's great for you, because is that relatively certain revenue too?
Yeah. So just constantly just helping them with their strategy. So that's great. And then a couple of new clients on board now in the first year. Yeah. So
nice.
Quite happy. Yeah. So now my big step now is how to scale.
Right.
Sustainably.
Okay.
And that's always a question, isn't it?
It is. I mean, for every company, it's how do you get volume of the customers you want? I mean, it really depends on what you're doing. I think there's this kind of real. I mean, I've spoken to a lot of business owners now, and there's this real tension between, obviously, I guess in the service space, which there's a lot of service-based businesses in New Zealand.
Yeah.
It's that duality between basically billable hours, in essence, and then growing and kind of feeling like you're progressing.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'm kind of starting to learn from doing a lot of these interviews and podcasts, and it's quite interesting, right?
Yeah.
But like, obviously, it kind of talks to the dynamic, decentralised economy New Zealand has outside of agriculture, the banks, and construction and property.
Yeah.
Like, it's those three dominate, very much so, with unfortunately a lot of those profits obviously not even ending up in New Zealand due to the banks. But then you've got this kind of very sole trader, SME heavy, decentralised economy that actually creates a very interesting, vibrant environment potentially. But we have obviously some constraints and a lot of not much frameworks for those businesses. Right?
It's interesting.
In terms of scaling as well.
That's such an interesting take. I never even thought about that, and it's exactly right. So I'm kind of winging it. There is a lot of support out there. But you kind of winging it. I'm getting advice from mentors and things like that.
That's right.
But you're still in a unique space, and I think the whole fractional leadership is quite new as well. That whole marketing fractional CTO was great. It's big, and it's a couple of years in the making and whatever else. I mean, it's been around a while, but it's still fairly new for small businesses and medium businesses. And I don't put myself as a fractional CMO. I would say no, I'm more of that marketing lead. So because I'm not a board member, I haven't worked in enterprise. I don't really probably ever plan to. I really look at those dots I can connect for those small businesses and really make an impact.
And where are you seeing a lot of the opportunity in that space to engage, and where are you seeing as that role that you've created that can go and implement and execute in businesses? Where are you seeing the obvious opportunities in 2026?
I think that's what I'm still working on.
Okay, that's fair.
I have a couple of. So what I've been doing is like I would do for a customer. I'm trying to be that good marketer for myself, which is always hard because you know what you have a strategy for other verticals or whatever. So I'm looking at that account base, and I'm trying to identify I'm right now working on in this new fractional lead space or this new marketing lead space. There's an agency I knew, but I'm working out who's my audience, who am I talking to, who are the people I would like to talk to, who would benefit most. And that's really interesting because I've always maintained that it's the people-centric, human-centric. And I'm a little bugbear at the moment, is AI, and AI it's growing great and it's awesome, but it forgets about the people. And marketing's the same. We look at the data, and there's so much data. Like 40 to 50-year-olds, female, and this, and we have 2.5 children, and that's the data. Who are the people? What are the people like? So it's going back to those basics of marketing. Like, we actually talk to people, we market to people, and how do we? And I'm going on about people, but it's we forget to have that human connection, and I think that's what I'm putting together at the moment for myself is who are the people I want to talk to and what is the connection I need with them. I mean, LinkedIn's been really interesting, and that's kind of been a key space in B2B, so that's cool. But I think it's going to be that account-based, identifying companies and putting myself out there. I think that's going to be where it goes, and just being more traditional about it.
Okay.
Because it's very much B2B, which isn't that whole B2C, go, get out there, massive reach. That reach isn't going to help. It's great, but it doesn't actually get you the lead, the right lead, the quality lead.
I was speaking to someone that's similar situation to you today, but in the HR space. Which was quite interesting, and she's actually done incredibly well on TikTok.
Oh, interesting,
Right, she's selling B2B services in HR. And what's happened is she's basically built a presence on TikTok, which is easy to consume content. And then she's found that as she's having the conversations when she's winning clients, is they already follow her on TikTok.
Oh, fascinating.
Isn't that interesting? Because obviously you would say, HR person that's working in basically taking managers to leaders. Why would TikTok work?
And that's what's really interesting, because I think we spoke about it before, is you've got to play with things now. You know, there's no right or wrong anymore. Actually, there's just trying and playing and testing and iterating. That's in my view. I mean, yes, you have to have a plan, but you don't know if TikTok's going to work until you've tried it.
Yeah.
And it's, I think the biggest hindrance to that, the biggest roadblock to that is capacity.
Yeah, it is often.
If you're good at TikTok and you can do a quick video like that and you're good at that, awesome, go for it. If you're going to struggle to do, however many TikToks you need a week to get by and to make it viral and to get out there and get your audience, if that's not your jam and you can't do it, it's hard, and then you've got to think about it. So my belief is that you've got to hold back on a channel until you're ready to give it the right amount of attention.
Yeah, give it the right amount of effort.
Do it properly and focus on the ones and do it properly.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, our biggest problem has actually always been around just distributing the content that we already create.
Repurposing.
Repurposing, but also not even just repurposing, just very close to working out how we have someone that almost just follows me around, because a lot of the relevant takes are in meetings, they're in client meetings, they're on podcasts, and it's like, but I'm going back-to-back meetings maybe all day, 7 meetings, 15 hours. Yeah. Like, I'm probably not going to have enough time to do something quick on LinkedIn or X. No. But the thoughts that happen throughout the day may be relevant and interesting and engaging. So it's something that we're thinking about. We've got 200 hours of podcasts recorded. And we've made,
That's awesome.
And there's it's exciting, but there's a treasure trove of data that you have to mine to actually create good content from it. So it's a struggle for us. And we're putting a lot of effort in.
And I think it's also, content is interesting, and how do you be more strategic about it? I mean, just a really basic example is, I did a little blog a little while back, did a template for how Reels template, where your, visible areas, and completely went viral. Like, it just went huge and got it on, GEO loved it, AI loved it in search, and got asked a couple of times, can we share this? And, massive, biggest, highest performing page on my website. Meaningless for me. It does not bring me a single lead. Yeah, it's great. It gives me, but it's not my audience,
Right.
It's not who I...
It's probably
it's not the
marketers.
decision maker. Do you know what I mean? It's the marketers, which is great, but it's not they might be the decision maker in 10 years' time or 5 years' time, but it's actually the people creating content who are looking at it and loving it. So I'm getting this great engagement and I'm doing great content, but it's not actually getting me the leads and getting me that return on investment. So it's just interesting how it's just a little one tiny example of how you can do great content, but it's actually not doing the job. And if you don't have all the bits and pieces to look at all of that and understand which content is doing what and putting it into a bigger picture and understanding understanding your market performance or marketing performance, you could be wasting time on content that's irrelevant to you. Right. Great content, just not relevant to your business.
Yeah, or you don't have the right, funnels in place to then capture, or one doesn't. Yeah. One may not, be utilizing good content to drive into a funnel that works with the audience or something like that. There's always typically a disconnect, right? At some point in the chain.
Yes, exactly.
And sometimes you can have low amount of views but really high engagement, and how much is that worth? How much is 200 individual 1 hour conversations with business owners worth versus a podcast episode versus a blog post or whatever it is.
Exactly.
So it is about really kind of stress testing where in the funnel an activity fits, and are you able to track it, right?
Yeah. And what's that customer experiencing? A lot of times we have a great process internally, and then we forget that the customer's experience is quite different, and how we know the product. So we talk about it in one way, and then we realize that the customer doesn't understand what we're talking about, because actually you're using your acronyms, you're using your something that's innate to you and you think is normal. Yeah. But in actual fact, it's not understood by the client. And then what are they seeing all along? How are you engaging? How are you supporting them through that journey? So it's been really interesting. That whole journey is really interesting.
Yeah, it's quite fun. Like I'm definitely, originally a goldsmith, but moved into tech and very focused on tech. And now obviously our business over the last 6 years is still very strong in tech, but also now looking at, the financial side and the capital allocation side, which is really cool because they're two areas that I'm very passionate about. Yeah. But also along with that has been, well, how does an institution like this even think about growing? What are the levers? What are the levers that other people pulled? Why are certain investors that are well known, why have they done certain things? Oh, they've got this really popular book. Oh, the book actually came out before they were popular. Yeah. So it's like a delayed gratification of wisdom. Yeah. It's like you kind of, you put out into the world really high quality, long form content that demonstrates how you think, what you think, and why you think the way you think. But that may not be read properly for 15 years, but having it out there at that point of the time is the important piece, and then its value compounds because its authority compounds as you stay in the market. Yeah, exactly. I think that's quite good, and I'm very bullish that type of brand building and marketing now, because I believe that customer engagement will now be more principles and frameworks driven and more human. Yes. If you're to basically get through the noise. I 100% agree. Yeah. So I'm very much an amateur at marketing and sales. Yeah. But I'm starting to be fascinated about it and try and work out how you bring systems thinking to those activities. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think you can't do. I think this is where we need to really remember that there's the principles of marketing, there's the person at the center of that, and then there's a number of tools that support you. AI is a tool. That's right. Meta what's your stack? Right, what's your tool stack?
And don't use that as that is not your piece. Your principles and your strategy and your plan or what you do, the tools are just supporting that. They just help it do it faster, do it better, So how do you choose your tools effectively? How do you use them correctly? How do you use that to amplify your message?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So it's a work in progress, I think, for all of us, right? Yeah. But very exciting and very interesting because it is, it's creating opportunities for, for that experimentation. We have a principle in our company that live to trade another day, and that comes from the idea of basically being able to continuously play the game. Yeah. And in that case, it's the same with content. You've got to continuously go, how do I have a low risk, low impact experiment to see and test and validate my ideas, whether it be whether it be a static ad, a type of kind of content, long form memo and stuff. I'm very much more interested by creating more long form content, but obviously in today's day and age, short form content does very well. It's got a lower barrier to do well. Yeah. Or seemingly do well.
And this is where you have to be a little bit multi-channel here. You have to be across channels, do a little bit of short form to drive to your long form, and long form is actually doing much better than it did. There was a time when it did really badly. Right. Who knows why? But it's coming back. I think people are wanting that real connection. Do you really understand what you're talking about?
Yeah, it's the analogies versus first principles. Duality, right? Yeah. It's very easy to have system one thinking and be like, okay, that sounds right. Yeah. It's right. Yeah. Versus, do I know it's right? Yeah. I love that business forces you to really do that, right? Yes.
100%.
Because the results are pretty evident. Like, you can't run away from them.
No.
It's hard. So
in your face.
yeah, totally right. So what's the bigger picture? Like, you started this thing. Was there a vision, and do you have like an ideal state that you would love to see yourself in like 5 years? Like, it's been a year. The first 2 years suck. You know, if you can make it past then, it dramatically increases your chance of success.
Yeah.
And then, you know, hopefully you've done some hard yards, and within 5 years you're in a pretty stable spot, typically. And then, you know, if you can get to 10, that's where things usually get exciting, I would say, when it comes to business arcs.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'd just like to consolidate what I'm doing now. So basically, like I said, I didn't expect to get where I am this quickly. Yeah. So it's been a big ride of putting systems and processes in place really fast, and I want to make sure that they're embedded. And they don't break. And, you know, really I've had to rethink how I do things and reinvent some things and change some processes already because they didn't quite fit with where I'm at now. So that's been really cool. And I think this year is about embedding that, making sure it's solid, making sure it's good. It's been a hugely exciting year, but it needs to be sustainable now. And then I think I'll start looking at how to make that scalable. Right. So how do I scale from here? And how do I then take it so I can build a sustainable team underneath me, a strong team who... So the goal is a team? I think I'm more looking at a collective still. I like the idea of a collective who have their own autonomy, who have their own ownership of things. I've really got a collective around me who jump in and do creative when I need creative. Right. They do, and I'm still looking for a couple of strong specialists in certain areas like Meta or Google Ads, and I've got a couple of them in play, but keeping on looking for those solid collective connections who can help me and support me. I'm not entirely sure in this iteration if I'm going to be looking at a team, and that's another decision I need to make, if I'm going to stay with the collective and look towards really pushing that marketing lead, strategic lead type space. So this is a year of embedding where I'm going to be and making sure I'm solid, and it's not making. I'm not going to make too many changes again because there's been a lot of changes already. Right. So there's a little bit of lateralization of what your core competencies already are, and then I think probably maybe getting tighter on what does the longer term collective versus kind of scaling out, obviously capacity and ability to really drive a little bit more revenue ultimately. Yeah, exactly. Interesting stuff. But and then on the long side that I've got my partner and myself are building an app, so that's kind of okay. It's out there. It's not ready yet. Yes. It's in testing. And what's it do? It's in the wellness kind of space, so that's exciting. And then we've got another one in play that we've kind of decided we also want to go in terms of the marketing kind of space, just easy, simple, basic things. And those are things we're also working on. So there's a lot, so I'm like, just take it slow. Just keep it. A little bit of progress every day. Yeah, exactly. Nice, awesome. What do you think, the biggest challenge is what is the biggest challenge then when trying to manage, this idea of kind of having this autonomy and boutique marketing lead offering, which can lateralize into other people through the collective, and then trying to juggle, obviously, actually building IP and building some product? What do you find the biggest challenge is? I don't know, actually. It's keeping focus for me, because I'm quite OCD about systems and processes. So I have them, but then it's quite easy for me to jump and go, I want to fix this problem. Whereas in actual fact, I know that this is the core problem. Yeah. So whatever I tell my clients, I actually have to just tell myself. So it's doing the doing of what I preach. Yeah. Well, I keep having this idea of doing this TikTok video that I think I need to do, and maybe I'll do it today. I probably won't. Around do as I say, not as I do, investing. Yes. So do as I say, not as I do, investing. From my perspective,
basically exists everywhere. All the best financial advisors I know, I talk markets with them, I know them well. I find it very interesting that the posture of their asset base is completely different to what they advise. Which is super interesting, right?
Yeah.
Which I think tells you something about the financial advice space and how it obviously has its challenges.
Yeah.
But that doesn't exist just in financial advisors.
No.
You know, I spent the summer reading Buffett's essays and Berkshire's, Charlie Munger's biography, and I already know a lot about them. I've already done a lot of reading and, kind of exploring in that space. But I really understand how they built Berkshire now. And again, you know, Buffett's like, well, you know, buy the S&P 500 and go to sleep is kind of his vibe publicly. And, you know, don't use too much leverage and don't trade. He's never owned the S&P 500 and he probably never would. Through their insurance businesses, they actually created all the upside of debt without any of the downside because they have a float of capital that they can invest that doesn't have a recall on it unless obviously a bunch of people die or, you know, there's a terrible catastrophic events that are uncorrelated from basically the tightening of liquidity in financial markets. So if you think about a typical loan, if there's if things change, that lender might change your margin requirements on the loan, and then all of a sudden you have to post collateral. You see that a lot in New Zealand with refinancing in your property. And then the last one is what they call in their business arbitrage, which is actually just short-term trading.
Right.
So I keep thinking about this video of like, do as I say. Investing is so like everywhere. It's not even funny. I don't know there's no actionable like this is what you should do. But I find it kind of interesting that exists, and it exists in business. I
think it exists,
and it exists in everywhere because we're human.
We are 100% human. Yeah, and it's exactly that. It's that I give advice to my clients, and how do I do that? So
how do you make sure that you're doing the same thing, right?
Yeah, and doing it right, and it kind of just pull you back to reality.
And also leaning in where, like, you know, business owners have to wear so many hats, right? And it's like, okay, identifying the hats of where you're like, you know what, I actually just don't want to wear that hat. I shouldn't wear that hat because it creates more issues than it's worth. It's that kind of fallacy thing.
And exactly, right? I think that's the challenge that you were asking about is prioritizing. It's stepping back, getting out of the busy work. And I think it's everybody gets involved. Like, oh, this is so exciting! We're going to do this. Or we have to do this. This is happening. Or there's a deadline here, and you get so involved in that busy work, which is important.
And it feels productive.
It feels really productive, and you feel like this. I'm doing so much, and I'm so busy. I'm busier than God, as my friend used to say. That you kind of have to step back and just go, wait a minute. What is my core offering here? What is my core priority? What am I really supposed to be focusing on that's really going to change things for me and going to embed things for me? And it's a hard thing to do sometimes, and I think that's I've got a lot going on, so it's how do I prioritize? How do I embed that?
Yeah, for sure. No, understood.
Good points,
and also recognize it, for sure. And time blocking has always been really helpful, right, for me personally. And I don't like actually having a full schedule personally. But the way, obviously, the age and stage of the business, it's just natural that for me, I'm meeting a lot of people. Obviously, I do the podcast, which I enjoy, but it's not just the podcast, there's lots of other engagements and stuff. But then I'm like quite specific about giving myself the opportunities to block time.
Well, I block time, and I have like Mondays and Fridays. I kind of don't do meetings unless it's urgent, and that's me
doing the work,
doing the business, working on the business, and then obviously I try to avoid weekends. I've got a family. I've got a young daughter who needs me.
Attention.
So I have to make sure that I'm there for her. So weekends I have allocate some time to really work on my business and work on me, and it becomes hard. You've been pulled in lots of directions. Yeah, and I think everybody's feeling that.
Yeah,
I don't think it's just because I'm founding a business, I'm growing a business. I think even if you're working for a business, you're very much feeling the same things. You're pulled and pressure from all sides.
I think there's what's clear is that especially with everything that's AI, and I like to talk about, it's not about AI, it's about delegating human output to compute. It's not about AI, because most things that are sold as AI are not actually AI. But because it's in the zeitgeist and everyone's got it front of mind, and the interface has unlocked, I think, a lot of hope and a lot of realization for what's possible.
Yes.
There's a whole kind of deep dive you can go into, how much code is written versus deployed, etc., etc., etc. But I think that there's generally a lot of noise around and a lot of pressure to do more.
Yes.
Because everyone's feeling like they're at risk.
Yes.
So there's an angst in the market around, I need to do more because otherwise my competitors are going to do more, and then I'm screwed anyway, or I'm screwed because AI is going to disrupt my whole business and every other business, and it's kind of, and then what? And I think that like two things can be true at once. Like this transfer of human productivity and kind of this moving into this post-labor economic environment. That's happening. Do we know how much compute we need to build out that's the right amount? Not too much, not too little, just right. Like a bit of Goldilocks. And it's like, we've never done that.
No.
Humans have never been able to forecast well beyond, let's call it 1.5. The best forecasters out there, I'm just reading a new book, Super Forecasters, I think it's called. It's quite cool.
I'll come back to that.
And basically, and I've done a lot of forecasts in my time. And, both for markets, but also financial forecasts, cash flow forecasts. And I do think, there's this interesting sweet spot, I think, when you're good at it, of like a year to 18 months becomes quite nice. And then anything beyond that, you're fooling yourself. And especially in the way tech is changing, a year and a half, 18 months is...
It's 10 years.
Feasible.
It's 10 years now, And I think in marketing it's the same. I mean, it's very much, it's just a changing market. And I don't even, what I was saying I should do 6 months ago is, in terms of the tactics, I'm not talking about the strategy. The strategy is always the same, but the tactics are changing constantly. Like what I did on Meta ads in January last year is very different to what I think I'd look at doing now. It's not completely different. You still have that same, the same funnel, the same things, but the actual tactics using Meta's algorithms, using Meta's AI, the way that you actually implement an ad has changed. And when you start getting that nitty gritty, you start thinking, how do you do your creative, and how do you do this differently? So the messaging starts just changing. How do you present that? So I agree with you. The whole forecasting is really hard for very much, to look too far ahead. But AI is an interesting one for me, because I think that what you came up with, what you said earlier about the whole, if it's AI or not, you've got the whole, it's automation. Get your automation right, get your manual processes right, then put AI on top of that, because AI is just going to amplify. If you're doing something well, it'll be amplifying good. If it's doing something poorly, it'll amplify the poor. So it just amplifies and scales what you're doing, what you're doing already. And if you need to get your automation right, and that's just and there's a big difference between AI and automation.
And is what you're doing is it the right approach for what you're doing to use a statistically probabilistic method? Yes. Versus a known programmed method in the form of a traditional piece of code or function.
Exactly.
So, and then how do you host those now? Like I actually think personally, based on what we've done internally in our company, and we've done some great work this year in the agentic space, in the AI space, and we've implemented and deployed it. And I always talk about you know, really easy to get a demo looking nice, but you go and deploy it and scale it, and it's difficult. It's not, you're not there, like the market, the products are not there yet for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've done some cool work, very excited about it.
Yeah.
But it's, like you say, if it sometimes it degradates, you have to do a lot of testing, you've got to make sure what's working is working.
Yeah.
And you know, reduce the noise.
Yeah.
So when you're thinking about people that you engage with, your buyers, what are you telling them? How do you navigate those questions of overwhelm and not knowing where to get started, and the automation side and stuff? Like, that's what I was going to say, is I think the Pipe Dreams and the Zapiers of the world, I think they're almost gone. They're almost useless in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because you can so easily just run compute natively now. The Zapiers and Pipe Dreams and those, and I love Pipe Dream. Pipe Dream was really cool, way better than Zapier. But I went, and we still have premium for another couple of months, I think, maybe another 6 months on Pipe Dream.
Yeah.
And I went to go and do something in Pipe Dream for the back office of one of our entities, and then I went, this is actually harder now to do this for me, even though their builder's great, than actually just spinning something up with Claude.
Yeah.
Which is like, well.
Yeah, I don't think I've used Zapier. I think I haven't used it in probably
It got
years.
very expensive.
It did, and it couldn't do the complicated things that you needed anyway.
Yes.
So what I was needing was always that more complicated.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with it's the same thing with help desks. So I use HubSpot a lot, and I'm a HubSpot service provider, so I just do that basic kind of implementation stuff for people, mostly marketing, automation, and sales processes. So HubSpot support is great. You start off with the AI, and it's okay, adequate, but my questions are generally a lot more complicated and complex, and then AI is going to be able to do for me. And HubSpot do, with all due respect, they have a person on the end of the line, and then I go to that person, and then they can answer my question most of the time. So it's that levels, that constant levels. AI is never going to give me, and the same thing with Zapier, it's never going to give me the capability of the complexity that I'm looking for. I can do the basic stuff already. My questions are always much harder. If I'm stuck, it's because I'm really stuck, and there's a real roadblock there. So so I've never managed with Zapier, to be honest. I've always had to go to a developer anyway, because it's just that little bit more complicated.
And so what are you kind of telling people about making sure they reduce the noise and
step back. What are you actually doing? Well, who are you talking to? What is your message? What do you want to achieve? And what's the priority? And what I've been doing a lot of is how do you decide what to do first? Because you can't do everything. If you want to do every shiny hype that's, you have to post 5 times a week on TikTok, right. No medium business is going to be able to do 5 TikTok videos a week. It's just, unless you've got a massive creative team and it's going to be of value, step back and say, what do I really want to achieve here? Who am I really talking to? And what do I want to do? And what am I going to do first? And I've also, don't buy into the hype of you have to post every week to be successful. In general, I agree, it does help. 100% helps. It's not don't do that. I'm just saying, if you don't post every week and you don't send your monthly newsletter out, or you don't send your fortnightly newsletter out, it's okay. You'll actually be okay. Rather put the quality thing out there, rather get the one that's going to get that engagement, going to get the people talking about it, going, that's amazing, then throw a whole lot of rubbish out there and you go like, I'm getting it done, I'm making all this content, I'm throwing it all out there, it's amazing, I'm so busy, but you're actually not doing anything because it's just making you stressed out, and you're not good in doing that quality content that you probably could do. So my thing is just don't listen to the hype, don't go with the shiny new thing, stick with your runs, stay the course, decide what you're going to do, and just stick with that course.
Nice. Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on the pod. I really enjoyed it.
You're welcome. Thank you. Myself.